Welcome to the Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Keren Eldad. Settle in. We're about to make you feel really good. Welcome back to the Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Keren Eldad, and we are continuing in the Coaching Masters series. Today, we're going to actually start to look at the flip side of the coin, because on the other side of every great teacher is an absolutely incredible student. And every now and again, you get someone who just blows your mind. And today, I have exactly that person, Dr. Taq Freeman. I'm so excited to have you here. You know, my guest embodies what I think of when I think about evolution, but also when I think of going all in and risk-taking and adventure. He is an anesthetist, an entrepreneur, a storyteller, and an adventurer. He has spent his life at the intersection of healthcare, performance, and now he has come into the world of human understanding. For nearly 15 years, Taq worked in a completely different industry with a side of snowboarding and other very risky sports that I always discourage. And that was when we met. He actually didn't really know where he was pivoting or what he was pivoting to, but I'm so excited to show you inside the workings of that transition and transformation, because so many of you are in transition and transformation, and so many of you are also discovering that in there is an uplifter and a teacher and a thought leader. So, without further ado, I'm so excited to welcome you, Mr. Taq Freeman.
Oh my God, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. I almost didn't know who you were referring to, but thank you just the same.
Oh, I love the modesty. I love the humility. And, you know, I'm sure your wife will appreciate that too. By the way, that is how we met. I met your wife 6 years before I met you, when we were both babies. And here we are today. And I have to tell you, one of the most glorious things about experiencing people over long periods of time is just witnessing the miraculous evolution. By the end of this decade, we're all going to look back and just be, I think, astounded by what's happened.
Absolutely. You know, one thing that we understand over time is that actually things take time. And, you know, no matter what project you start, when you start, you want to get to the finish line, but it takes that getting to know yourself and getting to know the people that you're working with, that you're interacting with, to build something, to build a relationship, regardless if it's professional or it's personal. They take time. You have to kind of marinate. We need to get to know each other.
Isn't that the truth? So we're going to take our time. And I want you to start by taking me back in time. What has led you to this point? What actually brought you first to the doorstep of coaching?
For me, you know, I had pretty much lived a pretty fast-paced life, in the sense that, you know, I did everything I was supposed to do, right? I went to school. I achieved my doctorate. I built a business. I built an anesthesia practice. And there were, you know, you hit your 30s and there are really no more big celebrations, right? There, you pretty much accomplished everything. Even your brain, right? It's kind of like, all right, you've made some babies, maybe you've had your life experience. Typically, if this was ancient times, we would probably be dead.
That's
right?
true. We would be dead.
We would be dead. And so your brain is kind of like, well, what next? Your brain, we're living, for an extraordinary long time these days.
Yeah.
And so you hit this period, and I think your brain is just kind of confused on what's next.
Yeah.
And everything I was supposed to accomplish, I accomplished those things. And I hit a point where I was asking myself, what did I want to do? What am I living for? What is my purpose? Where am I going? And I was just pretty much stuck.
Yeah. Your story sounds familiar. And I remember the stuckness, but I also remember, and forgive me for betraying you, the resistance too. All right, now I guess I have to go through something, and maybe coaching will help me to actually discover this. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, well, even though I've dedicated my life to healing people as an anesthetist, I was your typical guy, in a sense, typical guy that I know, right? If you coaching or therapy, I didn't want any parts of it, and particularly therapy. Therapy for me was just too fixated on the past.
Yeah.
I don't need you to tell me that my mom and dad were nuts.
I know.
Yeah, like my parents were crazy. Great boomers. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I wanted, and sometimes it felt that to really get to the bottom of what I was going through, I just felt therapy wasn't going to be something that I felt it too close to a victimhood mentality. And this is not to disparage anyone
Of course not. No.
that need therapy. Like many people need therapy. Many people need psychoanalytic therapy. There are diagnoses where, yes, that is the best recommendation. But for me, it wasn't. I needed to feel empowered, and I needed to actually have an objective plan
Yeah.
for how I was going to move forward. I need to actualize what was going on inside and move forward. And so I would have never thought that, or I never thought that coaching was that. I didn't really understand coaching. Actually, I know a guy. He actually was a friend, and I remember 10 years ago, he told me he was becoming a personal coach. And I told him, I was like, hey man, what's that? I have no clue what you're talking. I coach. I like a football coach, but for an individual. So I didn't really understand the concept. And yes, I behaved quite humble in the beginning, but no, I did. If you would have asked me, if I needed help, I would have told you no, absolutely no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just in this weird place where I knew I needed to do something, but I didn't want to go the traditional route. And then coaching, by the way, right? It's when I started to maybe even consider it, it was just this plethora, just this vast abyss of coaches.
Yeah.
Like, where do you start? What do you start on? What's proven? What works? Who jams with you?
That's right. Do you know, I checked my calendar, and it was a year ago that we went to Boa and had delicious, well, you had steak. I had mac and cheese. And over dinner, your wife said, you really need to try coaching. And I remember you thinking, I don't know about that. But there we were, not a month later, getting started in the process. And it hasn't even been a year yet. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
The transformation that's happened so far?
Yes.
So I'm really glad whatever resistance it was, what you're talking about is the forward pull, and the forward pull just takes over. And once you start understanding there's an answer to the forward pull that's not backwards looking, there is an alternative that actually is resembling, it's similar to therapy, but it's very different in its direction. We can get on board with that. What I also always loved is that you fit, and you've helped me to define my ideal client. And my ideal client is someone who's already successful, somebody who is very go-get-em, very forward-looking. When we meet clients in consultations who are hesitant and still sort of 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, I don't know, they're just a little less of a match for coaching. Coaching is a different discipline. We really want people who are meeting us at the threshold and they're like, I know I want to jump. I don't quite know where, but I'm ready to jump. And you were ready to jump.
Yeah, like I was ready to go. Right? I felt like coaching was, I don't want to say it was like I needed to be wound up, because I also needed to find a new direction, right? So coaching helped me to realize, okay, what truly at my core motivates me, what my true purpose really is, right? What has it been before and what I want it to be in the future.
What am I ready for? I just spoke to Gay Hendricks, our beloved and favorite person. And he said that at around 40, which is our turning point too, he decided, I've had a career, but now I want a career from which I don't want to retire.
Yes.
That's what purpose really feels like, finding a career from which you don't want to retire. Now, before we get to how you found that and what you've been doing, which is just astounding, let's talk about teachings. Do you remember any core teachings, any core philosophies, any big breakthroughs?
If you are already successful, you probably don't need a how-to, pamphlet to move further, right? You have a lot of these framings. You have a lot of these concepts, but you may have forgotten them.
Yeah.
Because I have a diary that I've used throughout my life, and I find concepts that were really important to me when I was 24.
Yeah.
Great concepts, by the way. When I read them, I think to myself, wow, this was really good.
Yeah.
But you move on. Those concepts that you use in your early 20s, in your late 20s, in your 30s, in a relationship, out of a relationship, as a father, not as a father, like, as a whatever. You have these framings, you kind of move on. Yeah. They have a timestamp on them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the framings that we went through and that you taught me was like the pause principle, which is one of my favorites, right? You run into a phenomena in life and it annoys you, it disturbs you, you hate it, you have a repulsive reaction to it, right? What do? Stop. Collect yourself. See, I know that, I knew that, but I forgot about that, right? Ask yourself, like, hey, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Is there an opportunity here? All these concepts, that was one of my favorites, by the way.
Yeah, it's
because
a really
it helped
good
me to slow
refresher,
things down. Yeah.
It also gives you a toolkit and a thinking system. I had an incredible experience this morning when I was getting my hair did at the salon. They were playing my favorite movie, The Devil Wears Prada. And I had a moment where I was looking back at myself. The Devil Wears Prada informed my first career, and I don't say that as a joke. It really did. I remember in 2006 seeing the movie and going, I need to work in fashion. And I did. And looking back at the character and seeing myself in her, I had an epiphany, which was I could have done anything I wanted. I could have absolutely gone all the way. Why didn't I? It's because while I did know, just like you, at 24, pretty much all of these concepts, I already had exposure. What I didn't know was what my blind spots were, what beliefs were standing in the way. And those only collected more and more momentum over the decade and 2 decades even that followed. What coaching does, it helps you remove those obstacles and get you into that zone where it is absolutely not an option to go all the way on what you truly want. That's really the job of coaching, to remove those layers, to see with laser precision what exactly is in your way so that you can get it out of the way and go back to that state and this time actually do something with it. That's, I think, the best way I can describe like what my breakthroughs have been in coaching.
Yeah. And you are a person that definitely walks it like you talk it, right? Like I know you and knew you as a friend before I decided to have you as a coach, which actually says a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think about your friends, you have friends that you love, but you wouldn't necessarily do business with them, right? This is better to keep it as a friend.
Yeah.
But it was
very fun at a party.
Very fun at a party.
Yeah.
Loves a good party, but doing business with them is it can be can end the relationship.
Yes, it can.
So that was something too that I really had intimate relationship with my coach, my future coach. I know you, I know your husband, and those things that I later was taught, I saw you living them, which I found very helpful. That was the best kind of marketing.
I'm delighted about that. I want to say something that's unusual. And especially in the therapy world, it's a big no-no.
Yeah.
Because of transference and because of projection and also because of emotional entanglement of the coach. So sometimes when you really like people, it does make you a little fuzzier about them. So the job of coaching, I like to say, is to be held separately with real boundaries, with real contractual obligations, with serious obligations to the ethical contract for the duration of coaching. After that, you're always welcome in the home, and we'll still be friends exactly as we were. It also, I think, has helped me to do the opposite. Because I'm aware of the fact that I will have a bias if I genuinely like you, it makes me just a little bit more precise or exacting when reviewing the work and when sitting with you to see that I'm not missing anything, because you actually can miss something. So that's a really great, I think, hopefully a tip for coaches and teachers out there. And if that style works for you, that's a really awesome thing.
Yeah, I felt like our friendship went definitely on a pause.
Yeah.
Like friendship was cut and we were in our sessions and we were doing the work.
Yeah.
And totally, our relationship definitely was very different.
Yeah.
I enjoy having a steak with you, but during that time, that Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever day it was would come around.
Yeah.
I had to get ready.
Yeah, where's your homework?
Yeah,
Exactly.
the homework.
This is a very different, I know, this is a very different experience. We're not going to go, oh, I need your homework now.
You need my homework.
I love it. So let's talk about the awakening now.
Yeah.
And I loved many moments, by the way, in coaching. The moment of closing a circle with your mom was very powerful.
Yeah.
The moment of releasing the past fully was full circle. You also went through a massive personal transformation at the time. You moved in together. You became a father. I mean,
Yeah.
all of the enormous things in life. So it's just a tremendous transition. But for me, one of the biggest things I'll never forget was the moment where you sat there and said, I've never considered coaching or thought leadership before, but it feels so right. Can you talk about this awakening and especially how that lit up for you?
Yeah. Again, oftentimes we have these, we know what to do. If you're a successful person, you know what to do, right? You know what's right.
Yeah.
And you forget about it pretty much, right? Or you become kind of like this decrepit creature that all of a sudden, because you have the accolades, because you have the degrees, because you had a successful business, you start to tell yourself that you know everything and that you have all the answers. You're like, wait a second, well, look at my life. Look at what I have. I can prove it, right? That moment of just, and that's ego,
Sure.
by the way, cracking that facade and breaking that down, getting back to the core of who I was. It took me back to my childhood in a way that I wasn't expecting, in a way that wasn't psychoanalytic therapy, right? It took me back to like my true self.
Yeah.
That kid, that young boy on the south side of Chicago that had dreams and aspirations, that didn't know any better, that didn't know that the obstacles, how the world, would react or respond, and no heartbreak and none of those things. That awakening for me was a wake-up call and reactivating who I was and taking the me that I have been telling myself, or the me that I have become as a 40-year-old man, and connecting me back to the me of who I truly was as a free kid, and bringing those together.
It's amazing. And what have you built since? Talk to people and be technical about it, because I want everybody, so many people out there are listening and they really want to launch something like this.
Yeah.
How do you launch something like this? Where did you start and where are you going? What are you working on?
Yeah, so having I've had quite a few people on the show, a lot of doctors, dentists, people from clinical backgrounds.
What you mean is you've launched a podcast.
I've launched a podcast, okay?
And it's called The Alpha Renaissance, and we love it.
We love it. Yes, thank you. You've been very supportive in that. So like launching a podcast or any type of venture, and then also this took me back to launching my first business, my first anesthesia practice, and staffing agencies, all these different things. The clinical brain is a safe brain, right? If you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, if you're a dentist, you went probably into healthcare because it was safe, right?
It's linear.
It's linear. It's predictable. You get the skills. You can work anywhere. No one can take it from you. Doesn't matter if the market is good or bad. You're safe, right? So having to go into entrepreneurship again, right? You have to switch your brain, right? You have to put the risk taker hat on, right? You have to push yourself. You have to motivate yourself to kind of break all of those old teachings, all of those old behaviors, and move forward with your new project.
Yeah.
So I had this awakening and I was like, you know what? I feel so good that I want to share it.
Yeah.
We need a renaissance, right? Particularly for men.
For men.
Particularly, because I was in a great position, right? But there are a lot of guys that are in middle life that hit a rock, and they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And they have no community. There's a loneliness epidemic, right? So middle life it kind of sucks. You can get pretty siloed and isolated from friendships, from your other, your greater family. So starting the Alpha Renaissance for me was a way of kind of paying it forward with how I felt in the awakening that I had.
You know, I love that you brought this up because the theme was also a hook for you. It wasn't just that you reawakened to what you were in childhood and realized I'm playful and I am charismatic and I truly enjoy performing and I really love to teach and I love to learn. I'm a very serious student. What you also awakened to was a calling, a moment in time that is calling to you to serve.
Yeah.
Scott Galloway and Anthony Scaramucci, the Mooch, they talk a lot about very young men, the crisis of 18 to 26-year-olds, maybe 30-year-olds. We are all familiar with the incel phenomenon by now, with the fact that young guys aren't having sex, aren't making even eye contact with people, are having a lot of trouble in the workplace, are having a lot of trouble finding any form of direction. But fewer men are speaking about the midlife crisis of men. And by the way, just according to what I've read, studies that were featured in the New York Times, for example, that is an enormous crisis. They are by far the largest suicide component of segment of the population. For example, you've already discussed that on your show. But they also, just even not going to that extreme, I read that the reason men get remarried so quickly is because men don't have a friend circle. They have no support. So they basically have no choice but to find another partner. And then now they're also finding a lot of difficulty in the remarriage part and the reinvention part and in the pivoting around, of course, the changes that are coming in through AI. So you start to see all this. And I remember that and start thinking there's a better way. And, you know, I remember when you said, I helped my brother. And I helped my cousin. And I wonder if we could do this for more people. I wonder if we could literally demonstrate for them how to get out of this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so many.
that was it.
I looked at it as what is happening, right? We talk about AI, we talk about technology.
Yeah.
They're distractions. They can be great things, but for most of us, they're distractions, right? So the question that I wanted to ask and hopefully have as many people answer is, how do we find agency in an age of distractions?
Yes.
Everything is begging for your attention. And attention is one of the most valuable things that we have to give. So the Alpha Renaissance was my way, again, of looking at my brothers, my cousin, my friends, people that have struggled with mental health that I know, people that struggle with their weight, and saying, okay, I know I can help people. I know I've done it. I've had people lose, after they found their purpose, they lose 40 pounds, 50 pounds. I've had people who have confidence issues. I mean, really struggling with confidence, help them build their confidence. And this was something that I wasn't trying to do. It just happened from osmosis, honestly. And just me having done the work and being around people who see like, okay, that's where I want to be. Not because of him, personally, but what he has going on, the work that he's done. And that's something that we should share. I mean, a lot of these guys, they don't have friends. They don't have social groups. They're awkward. They're very awkward. I interact with a lot of them. Very awkward. They don't, simple social cues or follow-ups. I mean, it's
crazy.
It blows my mind.
Yeah. And to have someone step into that's it. I say to people a lot of times, don't ask what you want to get out of this industry. Ask who you can serve. Ask who you're interested in serving. Ask why you're interested in serving. That's where the magic really happens. So it's tremendous to see that interest latch onto you and you actually following it. And also now you watching and witnessing other people transform through their purpose. Now let's talk about how people really transform. The thing that truly changes your life. I stand by this.
I think I know what you're going to say.
I think you do. Is marriage. I think very few people will ever grate on you like a partner who is up close and personal. And fatherhood, of course, also changes you very much. But really coming together with the love of your life has also brought about a huge transformation. And I think that the only way you can explore and enjoy that transformation is if you are transformed within yourself and find alignment within yourself. Has the work also impacted your relationship?
Oh my God. I mean, we've had these conversations, right? you know, from the tradition that I come from, right, from Islamic traditions, right, we look at marriage as being half of your faith, half of your entire life is finding a partner, right? Uh, every ancient society, I don't know one that doesn't really believe that your partner is your soulmate, it's your other half, it's your pair, right? You're not actually a complete person as an individual. You need to find your pair to complete your own humanity.
Yes, to
That's
complete your mission.
that's what marriage does for you. And I was single for a long time. Okay, I lived a great life. I was not in the loneliness epidemic. Okay, by the way, I was very unlonely, but the fulfillment wasn't there.
No.
I look back at my relationships, and they were just so recreational, right? In the sense of, it took me to find the right person to really find meaning in my life, right? And I know, God, me saying that right now, when I used to hear guys talk like that, I used to believe that they had a lobotomy.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I was like, who has a gun to their head off camera for them to say that?
Yeah.
But the truth is that, you have to do the work as an individual, but you live life as a pair. You live life in a collective.
Yes.
You live life, that house that you live in, that is the launch pad, okay? And that gives you so much meaning. Being a father, you mentioned, right? I mean, for me, yeah, I know I can take care of myself. You can take care of yourself, right? But being able to take care of others to in a way where you have to be conscientious of everything that you're saying and that you're doing, because it's going to affect this child. They're going to take their entire worldview from you, everything that you say. And I still, to this day, I mean, I think I love my dad, but oh my God, is he my pincushion? But I always think about all the crazy things he said, good or bad, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And you remember those things. You remember what your parents said.
Remember them forever.
You remember them forever. Yeah.
It's a completely new experience. I want to say two things about that. Brene Brown said, I believe in Dare to Lead, that a grown-up is not a person who can take care of themselves. It is a person who can be relied on to take care of you. And the key to that, the second part of that I want to say is, I don't think my mindset shift that I experienced through coaching, through doing this work, has had a more profound impact on anything compared to the relationship that I have with a partner. Because like you, I've never been on the unlonely side. I've enjoyed very much the neurosis of having everyone, but not connecting to anyone. And it was only when I connected to myself and truly understood, therefore, what was missing, that I could come together with another purpose and another person. And that's when everything kind of changed for me. It was just a new way of not only understanding the wisdom intellectually, but really embodying it. And that the embodiment is the good partnership.
I mean, you literally, if you have a good brain, right, and you find a partner that also has a good brain,
Yeah.
that's two brains attacking life.
That's right.
Two heads are better than one. And you feel that in a relationship, because you start to realize, it's humbling. You're not always correct. When you're alone, when you're single, you think you're always correct. You think you think you know everything. Hey, now say it aloud and say it to your husband or wife.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, we'll see. We'll test that idea
That's
out.
exactly right. And that's why I say they're so fundamental for us, because to live alone and to experience yourself by yourself, I mean, I guess it's very nice and lots of fun, but no one will show you, no one will mirror to you where your blind spots are as closely as a partner. And I don't want to say this again because I've gotten attacked for it when we went viral for the last clip, but
Oh, for
one
what?
plus one isn't two. 1 plus 1 is 11. Gosh, I hated the girl math comments so much. They were so misogynistic. Clearly, this is a metaphor. It's a metaphor because one brain plus one brain, when both of them are really, really powerful and fantastic and aligned and values aligned and driven towards the same goal, will get to the goal 11 times faster. That's what that means.
Totally.
And also powerfully show you where the blind spots are to make you just so much more efficient and so much more effective and so much happier in this life.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you found it. I'm really happy to see you thriving and shining. What's next for you? What's the next thing we're building?
I mean, right now I'm building out this podcast. It's exciting. One thing I will say is proper planning prevents piss poor performance, right?
Yeah.
I took the time to launch this in a way where I wanted the quality to be high in production and in guests.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that if you are presenting yourself to the world, you have to be worthy of the attention that you seek from others, right? And in that, we've launched in the last month or so, and the audience, the feedback, the love has just been monumental.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like I love to kite surf, as you know, and this is one of the best waves I've ever kited in my life. Okay?
Oh,
It's the people that are reaching out, wanting to come on the show, wanting to support, sharing. If you build it, they will come, and that's my message, right? If you truly desire to do something, and you have it in your mind, literally just do it. Start it. It's not going to be perfect. There are going to be hiccups, but get it out there. Just do it. You never know. You never know what will happen. You never know who will benefit from it. You never know who's watching you, by the way. And you just do it. And then, like I said, I've just enjoyed the outpour of love and support that I've had from everyone, strangers,
Yeah.
friends, family. That's been one of the greatest things, is to take something that is theoretical, this idea, and materialize it.
yeah. You know, this is the mindset that I really am so delighted that he's demonstrating for you, listener. This is an unstoppable mindset. The just do it mindset is something that no one can create, but what we can do is truly enhance. I want to say something really important. It's not just about just do it. The other thing you're personifying for everybody is do it right. If you're going to do it right. George Michael, may he rest in peace. And I really love that you're demonstrating this because ultimately none of us actually does anything by just wishing for things and having the ideas and fleshing them out and then dying in purgatory of analysis paralysis. We really do have to just go for that launch. And the best way to go for that launch and pull off that launch is to do it right with the proper amount of preparation, the proper amount of consideration, the right mindset behind it. I am super excited, but it also makes me happy because when I sift and sort for ideal clients, I'm looking exactly for that. I'm looking for a person that I can bet on too. And a safe bet is someone like you who's actually going to fulfill on that big discovery. I want to cast a vision on your life. I see retreats. I see the emergence of a platform. I see community. I see really big evolutions for this. This is only the beginning. And you sharing generously your view and your time with the people who will give this attention is amazing.
The Renaissance continues, right? And that's why that's why we named it the Alpha Renaissance. What people need, the Renaissance was an awakening. It was bringing art, culture, science together in a time where there was technological explosion. Hello, does that sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
It's, right now we live in the epitome of technological explosion, but that was one of the first times that it was happening so fast, right? And it changed everything.
Yeah.
That's what we need right now. And that if that builds a community where people can gain some benefit from it, I've lived my life's purpose.
I think you're right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of the renaissance of your purpose. And to quote our favorite musical, Hamilton, to the revolution.
Viva la revolucion.
Viva la revolucion. General Lafayette. That was a shout out for everybody who loves musicals out there. I really hope that you love not only Hamilton the musical, but that you absolutely loved today's incredible session. Thank you so much for being here. That was a really great conversation. We are going to link in the show notes all the ways to follow and all the ways to connect with you and with your podcast and with your work. And I have to tell you from the bottom of my heart, this is the joy of my life to see you succeed like this. I will keep cheering you from wherever you are, and I can't wait to see what y'all do next.
Keren, thank you so much. I love you so much because you actually walk it like you talk it. I tell you that all the time. And I've learned so much from you. I continue to learn from you. And keep shining your light on everyone, helping the world.
Oh,
You're amazing. Seriously.
I love you too. Thanks for being here. And thank you so much for listening to the Coach Podcast. If you love this podcast, here comes the cringe part. Please subscribe and give us a great review and follow us on YouTube. It always helps. And our job is to bring you the greatest coaching masters on the planet, to really pull the curtain back and show you what coaching is really like, what teachers are about, what students are about, what the process is about. I really hope that this is serving you, and I'm delighted that so many of you are coming along. Until next time, stay coached.